Two guys, one bench.
Shit talking, strength sports, combat sports. Game over.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Two Guys, One Bench, where we're 650 pounds of fuck stickery on a 30-pound bench.
Where we're talking more shit than gym bros who have nothing but show muscle and no go muscle.
Watch this Hawaiian pop this guy. Lights out, pop!
14-9, 3-2, 5-4. Bro.
You like problem food?
Okay, look me up, cuz.
Yep. Tony, that's all you, dog. Bro, I tried no fucking video.
Let's go, bro.
That's all you, dog.
Sleep this fucker, Jake. Whoop! Let's go! Let's go!
Shit talking. Rant of the week. We're about to pop some caps.
All right, everybody, let's get it popping with some rants of the week. Well, the weather's been really shitty here in Calgary, Alberta. And if you don't know where that is in Canada, it's in fucking ice fucking land, Antarctica type land right now. We were about minus 30 for about 2 weeks straight. And what that does is bring out the fucking pieces of shit on the road. And what I want to rant about today is the steering wheel warriors out there that are just fucking honking and horning and sticking out their hand, telling me to fuck off. I'm like, bitch, do you know who I am? I'm the guy that can end your life in about 5 seconds if I wanted to. Do you really want to hit that horn? Do you really want to be that asshole? How about you just have a little patience and not be the big C word we're not allowed to say? That's the only word we're not going to say. Darrell.
Like, we get it. You're in a rush. You honking your horn, but we get it. You're in a lifted truck. Your dad doesn't love you, but whatever. There's other ways to get people's attention than just honking and being a piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean, you're 5 foot tall and you're in a fucking jacked up Dodge Ram, and maybe your balls are tiny and your dick is small. But that doesn't mean you're going to be an asshole. That means, you should just, deal with your situation and not honk that horn, because you might come up behind someone like me that can make your day very bad in a hurry. And that's happened. Luckily, I am a pacifist, and I'd rather not take a life away just by a nice slap to the dome. So, you know what? Just drive safely. Everybody's going through the same bullshit. It goes for, all seasons. There's always a fucking steer wheel warrior out there being a fucking policeman and, trying to hold the rules of the road while they're breaking half of them. So I just want to say, fuck you.
All right. And for my rant of the week, I want to talk about Rob Parker. For those of you who may not know exactly who I'm talking about, he's a race-baiting piece of shit that used to be on ESPN but lost his job because he made incredibly cold takes that couldn't hold any fucking water. This dumb fuck decided to let's bet against Tom Brady again in the Super Bowl. And instead of acknowledging he's a hater, that Tom Brady's the greatest of all time, he's going to double down. And how does he double down? He doesn't just say that Tom Brady was lucky in the Super Bowl. He's saying the only reason he's recognized as being great is because he's white, and pushing the narrative that it was racism. That's the only reason that people recognize that he's good, because he has 7 Super Bowl rings. No, you dumb fuck. He has more rings than any franchise out there. But unluckily, this guy won't ever open out of his mouth on his terrible fucking podcast and any show that'll have him on for free.
Wow, I don't even know who this guy is, but I think he needs a slap. Sounds like an asshole. He was calling guys Uncle Toms for dating
white women.
White women. I mean, come on, man. So yeah, rant of the week to Darrell. Sounds like this guy's an asshole.
Oh! Rant of the week. We're about to pop some caps.
Clown Town, starring Rumple Foreskin. These nuts. If you're a clown, we're gonna call your bitch ass out.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Clown Town, where the biggest clowns in the fucking world get called up for their clowny ass behavior. My name's Rumple Foreskin.
And I'm D's Nuts.
And we're the 2 of the biggest clowns ever out there. Now, what I want to talk about today is guys who talk about their leg press records, Darrell. I'm gonna give that a 3 honks on the fuck stick level.
3 honks on the fuck stick level.
What a clown! First of all, your fucking leg press doesn't mean shit. How much can you squat? Well, let's see. Probably nothing, because you're a bitch that uses the leg press. Moving on. Darrell.
So for me, my biggest clowns out there are the guys who like to hate on high squats, because for the most part, most of us aren't powerlifting. We're just out there living life. And the guys that are calling out high squats probably never played a real sport in their life. So you're calling someone out for a sport that's super niche and standards that no one really gives a fuck about outside of our stupid sport. All right? I give those guys 2 honks.
All right, next up on the Clown Town fucking itinerary is females wearing their peach bands all around the gym and doing all their exercises with their stupid fucking bands. I'm gonna give that a 2 honks. I'll remove 1 because I like looking at your ass.
Clown Town, starring Rumple Forrester. D's nuts. If you're a clown, we're gonna call your bitch ass out.
Feeling I'll treasure forever. Thanks, 𝐓.𝐆.𝐻.
All right, everybody, we just got off an epic interview with Devon Larratt, one of the world's most renowned arm wrestlers, and just, probably most renowned for his shit talking levels. This guy he's in your face the whole time, just shit talking you, knowing that he can smash you. And he told us, the biggest win is when you get someone just to give up. It's not smashing them into the pins. It is just having them give up mentally and totally lose their faith in themselves. Darrell?
It was pretty cool to hear his background. He started off with judo and he said he'd been fighting his whole life, so naturally he just went into something ultra competitive. He talked about his time in the military, and it was just a really awesome experience.
Yeah, I mean, this guy was special forces, so those are the guys you do not want to fuck with. And I think it took some of that into his work ethic and just grinding out these matches. You can see it in what he does. Not only that, he's an awesome dude, a fellow Canadian, and he breaks down a ton of shit in this podcast. Do not miss it. You're going to love every minute of the roughly hour-long interview. All right. Boom.
Special guest, world champion arm wrestler, no limits, Devon Larratt.
So it's Devon Larratt or Larratt?
Larratt.
Larratt.
Larratt, like carrot or ferret.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, we're super pumped. We got Devon Larratt, one of the world's most, decorated arm wrestlers ever.
I just told you it was Larratt. What the fuck?
What did I say?
You said Larratt.
Fuck me. I can redo that.
I'm just teasing you, man. I don't care. I just want to.
Let's start it off right. All right, motherfuckers. All right, everybody. We're here with the world's greatest arm wrestler and shit talker in history, Devon Larratt. Rhymes with a carrot. You like that? How you doing out there on the East Coast?
It's good. It's good to talk to you guys. I'm glad to talk to some fellow Canadians.
Yeah,
going through all the same stuff we're going through out here in Ontario.
Oh yeah, how's the lockdowns out there? You guys still shut down?
I am so filled with hatred. I'm about to become like a nuclear bomb. Seriously. I'm just pent up rage. Seriously. It's insane. It's insane.
So in Alberta right now, they've kind of lightened the restrictions. I'm a gym owner, so personal training is one-on-one is okay, but a lot of shit's still locked down. They just let restaurants open up lightly. So how's it going out there with that? Still shut down completely, or?
It's just starting to open now. Yeah, we're just starting to trickle things open. I mean, like I'm a professional hand holder. Like that's my job, like I am as fully shut down really as you can possibly be. Yeah. I worry about kids, man. That's the thing I worry about. But
well, yeah, I'm seeing repercussions of not the COVID, but what it's done to people, mental illness.
Their family lives.
and family lives. And then even like a guy personally passed away. He caught COVID, but he passed away of a heart attack, cardiac arrest. And I can't help but wonder, he was 48. What if they didn't take his job away at the beginning of the lockdowns? And what if he could go to the gym every day? And, he's a martial arts instructor. All these things that, so what? Someone gets a cold, some old people die. I get it. But for me, it's just the impact is way too crazy.
It's super crazy. Like people, it's a tough decision. I would hate to be a politician because, there's nothing that's going to make everybody happy. But in my opinion, stuck between a rock and a hard place, and you might as well. I just hate to see youth impacted. That's the thing that bothers me more than anything. Like if it hurts a kid, that really gets me. That really that upsets me. But anyways, let's not talk about that. That's too negative. That's going to be over any second. Like I feel like tomorrow it's over.
Tomorrow it's over. You're back to snapping arms.
Yeah.
We're fucking lifting heavy shit, punching people. So that's exactly what we do on this podcast. We talk about combat sports and strength sports and all type of meatheadery. But that goes perfect hand in hand with arm wrestling because, in my opinion, you have to have both. You have to be like almost, a fighter. It's a hard sport. And then also you got to be strong as fuck. So that's you. Yes.
Miniature martial art.
Oh yeah. Jiu-jitsu of the arm, right?
Yeah. 100%.
I've been watching your highlights and I'm just, I teach, grappling and I have a black belt in judo and all those positions you guys are in are just arm snapping territory. And
what is that called? An Americano or something?
Americana.
Yeah. It's like a self-imposed Americana.
And you're just both there seeing which one. I mean, I did arm wrestle a little bit in Japan and I lived there 11 years.
Oh, wow.
And I won.
Test your frame. That's what we say.
Yeah. Well, you might know Japanese guys are pretty tough out there. They got some quick.
Yeah, actually, they have a unique version of arm wrestling called arm sumo, and it's way cooler. Yeah. Check out arm sumo on YouTube. I love it. They do it way more open. Yeah, I did judo too when I was a kid. That was actually what I started with. Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, I think you'd be a great Brazilian jiu-jitsu or judo guy just with your frame, and you'd be choking guys out in no time.
It's a great art, and it is a lot. It's like a bigger version of arm wrestling. But like hand is important in fight sports. There's a lot. I don't think you can find a fight sport where the hand isn't mega important. And in arm wrestling, it's like everything.
Exactly. So why did you choose the sport to begin with? I just want to start at the beginning of No Limits. Larratt.
Larratt. I always loved being strong. Read Pump and Iron when I was a kid. When I was like 5 years old, I looked at all the pictures and I was like, that's what I gotta be. I gotta be strong. So every chance I could do something that I thought was about that, I would fully jump in. And I also loved fighting. And I just kind of went further and further with fighting to a point where I was in the military and I got a fair way along in the military. And I felt like that was as far as I could possibly push the fighting aspect of what I was kind of after in my life. And, arm wrestling as a hobby and a recreational kind of safe place after work was just perfect because, I was beating myself up enough with work, and arm wrestling is probably, when it comes to the fight sports, it's probably the one that's going to hurt you the least. Like no concussions. You can walk after a career. Like worst thing is you're going to break your arm. And yeah, that's a small price to pay for crushing people, right?
Yeah. So you said obviously you did judo growing up and you're fighting all the time. And in the military. Do you think that possibly is what sets you apart, like your military training? Do you think that's part of what makes you elite and has made you have such a prolonged career, that mental toughness?
I think that we're all shaped by the people around us and our professions. I think that, a lot of arm wrestlers are like mechanics and, construction type guys who work with their hands all the time and just get really strong. But yeah, I think being in the military, it was all about winning, and it was all about fighting at a really serious level. So I think the closer and higher up you get in competitive sport, the more those lines start to gray out and you're approaching kind of war, right?
Yeah.
So having been in war for a good chunk of my life, it's easier, I think, to pull it back than it is to try and push through those places. So yeah, it was nice. A nice place to live now. Now I'm retired. Easy days now.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, like when I watch you, arm wrestle, one of your greatest attributes is just your endurance. Like some guys might be good for one match and be strong, and then they just blow their load. But you're in there, you're the stamina man.
And talking shit the whole time.
Yeah, and talking shit. We'll get into that later, but it's amazing. You just be sitting, looking at them, talking, waiting for them to like get tired and then crush them, right?
That's my favorite thing. Yeah. I feel like there's levels of victory, right? And I feel like when you can get the other guy to concede, it's even bigger than forcing the win or making him lose. Like if the other guy just is like, gives up, that's very satisfying.
With your matches, do you find that if you're talking and stuff like that and going for the long haul and wearing them out, does that work more on a lower level guy, or does it work on pretty much everybody?
I think to a lower level guy, it can be crippling. Like you can beat a lower level guy with reputation alone almost. And I know that because there's been times in my career when I know I've been weak and damaged and very susceptible to a loss, but people have given me way too much respect and have managed to somehow win, when I shouldn't have. At the higher levels, most guys are pretty mentally resilient, but what happens is once you get a chink somewhere, the power of your words can be devastating to someone. And it leaves much more of a lasting impression when you use your words, because they'll remember those words a long time. It's I love it.
Are there certain guys that are like, you don't have to name any names, you can if you want? Are there any guys that are top level guys that are kind of known that if you talk a little more to them, you can get them out of their headspace a little bit?
It really depends. I think a lot of it has to do with a guy's personality. Some people you don't want to piss off. I found that too. Like, some people you're better off just to be respectful, and it's like you don't wake them up. And then other people, but the thing is you talk about endurance earlier, and a lot of the thing with trash talk has to do with endurance. Like over the course of 3 weeks, you can launch a social media campaign on someone. That's like marching around a castle. That's like a siege. You can start to mess with their sleep, because they're like waiting for what's the next thing this guy's gonna post, and he's wasting all his time on social media. And Yeah, I mean, it's the landscape has changed a little bit in combat. It starts long before they say the word go. Long before.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think obviously your credentials and your championships have made you, one of the greatest, if not the greatest arm wrestler. But I feel, I mean, we were talking about it, but your shit talking levels are, out of this world. There's no other arm wrestler that can do that to anybody. And I think that's why everybody loves you. They just watch you and go, it's part of the atmosphere and the entertainment.
Draw, yeah.
It's WWE.
I think well, man, I love it. I love to do it. And I think that deep down, in sports, people want that. They want and I'm talking about as a competitor, like, because we're all there to learn, right? It's like when you did something wrong at your house, if your mom didn't scold you, well, you might have known you did something wrong, but if she really scolded you, you're gonna remember that feeling for a long time. So yeah, so if I can teach somebody a lesson, I'm gonna give it to them so they never forget.
Like for me personally, I started watching your videos on YouTube about 3-4 years ago, and I remember watching with my buddies. And after we saw a couple of videos of yours, it was like, okay, find me the next video, show me another match. And we just went through a bunch of your WAL matches. And it was funny because you could tell that on certain ones, you would almost give a round just so you can fuck with someone a little bit longer. And it's like, yeah, I think those are best of 5. You would give them a round to give them that false hope. Like, I could have beat you if I felt like it, which is more demoralizing when end result is 3-2, but it's like those 2 were off of fouls and I was fucking with you for 2 rounds.
There's something that's so exciting to me that I just heard about. It's the first time I've heard about this format. So there's a proposal for a big match. Big match is going down for $50,000, and the proposal is, it's 6 rounds, but if you're 3-3 at the end, you have to win by 2, not one, but 2. That to me is so interesting, because what that means is, if you knew you could win, you could beat the guy and then carry him indefinitely. You could carry him forever until he just didn't come back up. I'm terrible.
Really good at that too. Just taking.
I'm a terrible person, because I look for stuff like that. I'm like, wow. I'm like, to me, I would never, if I had an opportunity to be in a match like that, I would never think about ending the match. I would just want to prolong that agony for as long as I possibly could. Yeah. We got to get this thing started up again, man. We're really shut down. There's stuff going on in Dubai. Like, it's basically everything is like YouTube these days. It's all nothing. The leagues, they can barely operate. It's all underground and people who got YouTube channels.
Yeah, I've actually saw quite a bit of your stuff with Juji Mufu and getting him into it, him and Tom, and even saw a bit of your training, like what a daily workout was when I think he did the morning and night workout with you at your house. But like, what does a normal day for you look like for people at home that haven't seen it?
I wouldn't recommend that anyone follow my workout routine. My workout routine has gone to a place that I'm very experimental at this point. Like, I'm 45 and I've been in love with being strong since I was probably 5. And I have been like, basically I dropped all my other sports probably by the time I was like 25. And I've dropped like everything in my life basically since like 2016. And for the past year and a half, I've gotten to a level of specialization where I call it way of the giant pumpkin. You guys know about growing pumpkins?
No, but when you
Nothing.
messaged me back that one night, you just dropped me a pumpkin. I'm like, all right,
Right.
okay, cool.
Yeah. So you guys must have seen a pumpkin plant before.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. So like you ever see those farmers who grow those giant pumpkins?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the secret. That's everything that you want to know. You can learn from watching nature. And I am very concerned with making a giant pumpkin. Very concerned. So what that means is I only train my right arm. That's it. Nothing else. I'm all in. So yeah, this is for me a very interesting experiment. One that I'm learning a lot that I was not expecting to learn. I'm learning about my right hand, but I'm also learning about not doing anything with the rest of my body. It's kind of cool. Like, yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah. So I wouldn't suggest that anybody follow my training system. I would be like, I'm so far down a dead end road. Like I am all the way down it. Like, I'm having fun with it, but I am specialized to a degree that very few athletes, I think, get to.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, your so-called pumpkin is ginormous, and I mean,
that's all angles, that's all lighting, and I'm actually I'm kind of a skinny tall guy, but
yeah. Well, Darrell and I, we both powerlift, and I don't know. Darrell weighs about 280, and I'm 360. You probably can't.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm like 250.
Okay, you're sizing down a bit. You were a little.
Yeah,
heavier.
well, yeah, I gotta start getting massive again because it's gonna get serious. But yeah.
Yeah, you were speaking about Dubai. I've been watching a few guys out there, like Michael Todd's out there hanging out with Larry Wheels, and there's some other giant dude. What's his name?
Levon.
What's up with that guy?
Probably the best guy on the planet. It's between him and Michael probably right now. There's another guy. There's like 4 people that I'd say are like the top of the pile right now. Levon, Michael, a guy called Vitaly Laletin. He's this like 6'9" Russian trucker who drives between like Moscow and Siberia. He's like a giant version of Sylvester Stallone and over the top. And then you got this other Georgian psycho called Gennady Kvykvenia. And those are probably the guys to watch. Yeah.
Yeah, the one guy, Levon, he's just Levon he's eating everything, and then he's on all the supplements, and it's just like
he's a gigantic human being.
Yeah, you know that story. There was an old lady who swallowed a fly.
Yeah.
That's how Levon was created. He just kept going.
And that fly was called Trembolone sandwiches. He swallowed a few.
I have no idea what's going on in Georgia, but they are doing it right. They are doing it right. Yeah.
When you look at a guy like that, though, that's so big, he's over 400 pounds. Do you see, like, I can gas this dude out? Like, he's not lasting 2 matches. Like, if you can make him hold on, let's say theoretically.
I'd say that the number one component for success in arm wrestling is strength. People talk about endurance in arm wrestling, and endurance is great. But if I was training to become an arm wrestler, become a better arm wrestler, I would not be thinking about endurance. And endurance is like a nice to have, and it's great if you can make it a factor. But strength. And yeah, I mean, if you could get a stop on Levon, and if he could make some mistakes and get to a spot where you were able to tap into that, if he started to get a pump, or it became about oxygen in any way whatsoever. Yeah, like absolutely, like 99 point, repeater people who would ever face Levon would want to have the strategy of making the match last longer, of extending the setup, of getting fouls, of getting restarts, just to try and make that theory, work. But
Well, I have a suggestion. Why don't you learn his native language, and then you can shit talk him in Georgian.
I am going to Georgia. Seriously, I am going. Like it's really high up on my bucket list. I really want to go to Georgia. They've got some arm wrestling gyms over there that are just wicked. They're wicked, and I just want to go and hang out and yeah.
So pretty recently we had Brandon Allen on there, and on his page you can see you two were training in the gym down there, and I think Eric Spoto was there too.
Yeah.
Can you compare those like upper elite powerlifters to elite arm wrestlers? What's the strength like?
Oh,
Is
yeah.
it comparable or no?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's wild. I've arm wrestled so many people, and you see a guy, they got muscles. It doesn't always mean that they're going to have the strength in your particular sport. A lot of guys get really specialized, and there's not a lot of crossover. The only thing I'm good at now is arm wrestling. That's it. So don't expect me to be any good at bench or deadlift or anything. But I have noticed I've arm wrestled a lot of really good power lifters, and a lot of them are really, really good at arm wrestling. I've noticed that there's some kind of connection, and to me it doesn't make sense when I think about it, but a lot of guys who have like a no shit bench, like one of those benches that's to me, as soon as you're benching over 3 plates, you're in the stupid range. But like when guys are benching like 4 or 5, like I don't know if it's just because you are so strong at every single thing. Like if you're benching that kind of weight, you're like, you're like just an off the chart strong person at everything. But a lot of the guys who have that big bench are ridiculous. Eric Spoto is one of the best arm wrestlers I've ever met, and he barely even competes. But that guy could win a world championships. Like he is undoubtedly one of the best guys in North America. And Brandon Allen, he's really good too, and he's just started. I mean, there's guys. I've arm wrestled a lot of guys who are power lifters, and they're really strong, especially the guys who have good benches.
Where does Larry Wheels rank in that?
Larry is really interesting. I think Larry has a very bright future. That guy is so explosive. He's got so much pop. I feel like he's got a faster twitch speed than most guys. He's like a giant sprinter. And he's really smart, and he's really got a passion for arm wrestling. He's been arm wrestling, I feel like he's been arm wrestling like a few months at this point. Really not a long time. I went out there, I think it was in the summer, and he had not even done a forearm workout. So, but now he's all in. Like he is really going hard with the arm wrestling. I think he can do it. I think he can be a high level pro. Like, I mean, to say Larry's going to win a world championships, it's amazing. It's amazing to try and put that kind of pressure on a guy. I mean, is it possible? 100% it's possible. 100% it's possible. And the thing is, it's really hard to identify who the best guys are going to be. You see those freaks, and sometimes they fizzle, and then you see the guy who you think this guy's got nothing, and they become something incredible. So yeah,
it's definitely like, I find I coach MMA fighters as well. I used to be a pro kickboxer, and I know you probably hung out with Gary Goodrich a bunch. He was an animal too, and he was a huge K1 dude and great arm wrestler as well, right?
Yeah, he was world champion for a few years. Yeah, he was the best in the whole planet for quite a while.
Yeah, so yeah, it's crazy. He's just massive power. So I wanted to get into was it harder for you to slowly progress to becoming a champion? What's harder, that or just trying to maintain that high level once you get there?
Yeah, I think it's all about motivation, really. Like, I think that whenever people talk about training or, what workout program are you doing, or I feel like the entire base to everything is your motivation. And if you've got like perfect motivation, it's what everything is built off of. My motivation to become as good as I could be, to become a world champion, was really solid. And I don't want to say it was easy, because I worked really hard. But once you kind of get to that spot, yeah, your motivation changes a little bit. Like, I don't think that it's different. It's different now. It was a big letdown, actually, when I did beat the world champion in 2008. I remember, going up the ladder, there was always that next guy, that next guy, that next guy. And then kind of when I broke through, there was 1 year from 2008 to 2009, I couldn't get a match. I'm telling you, we tried. Nobody wanted to arm wrestle me. And it was the weirdest thing. I was like, what are you talking about? Nobody wants to, like, it was so hard for me to get a match right after I won. It started to change shortly after that, but when I first broke through, it was so difficult. And yeah, I think that the key is always to find the right motivation,
Yeah, 100%. And to do it over time. I mean, we power lift, I train fighters, and I'm sure it's the same with arm wrestlers, but you just have to have some craziness within you to do this type of shit. Like you're saying, your pumpkin workouts. I mean, I'm sure you're just sitting there doing this for 3 hours a day, just growing that pumpkin, right?
Yeah. And I know I'm crazy to do it. There's a million other probably more peaceful and better ways I could be living my life, but for whatever reason, I'm cursed. I'm cursed to walk this path. But hey, I love it. I love it.
I had a question kind of more on the technique side of it. Obviously, anybody who's seen you's probably seen Michael Todd and seen the King's move. From your perspective, what makes it so good and why is it so hard to counter? Like, what makes it what it is?
Well, the King's move is a very misunderstood move. Basically, there's a lot of technical choices you can make when you arm wrestle. The two main divisions is you can go forward or you can go back. That's your first opening choice. And mostly when you come forward, that's what we call inside technique, inside arm wrestling, hooking, pressing, and everything's kind of a spectrum. Coming back, running away is top rolling, posting, drag techniques, and all the way to open top rolling and what we call King's moving. And these type of attacks focus on your opponent's weakness in his fingertips. You're really trying to get that wrist to bend back. And in arm wrestling, a lot of people, when they lose their hand, they lose almost everything. And yeah, it's a very tricky attack. It's every move in arm wrestling has kind of an anchor or a root where it's kind of like the last line of defense. And in the King's move particularly, One of the things that's going on in arm wrestling is this. Okay. So we call this supination and this pronation. Okay. And in the King's move, there is a ton of pronation. The pronation is like the anchor. Also, the King's move is done in the strap. It's a strap-based technique. King's move doesn't work at all really outside of a strap, but because you're tied together, some people get really, really good. A lot of guys who've been arm wrestling a long time get really good at pronation. And it's just so hard to turn them over. So a lot of people have like a path that they would like to take, but someone who is a really good King's mover is going to force you to take a certain path to victory. And a lot of people will get really frustrated at this because they'll have a way that they like to arm wrestle and it will just completely not work against the King's move. Just won't work. And what makes it even crazier, and this is the part that makes people really pissed, is a lot of us so you know how like a fighter, you see those wrestlers, you see the kids who do a ton of BJJ and you see their ears and they're just mangled.
Yeah.
Right. And you don't want to mess with, you see that guy with those ears and you're like, okay, he might not look too big, but I probably don't want to mess with them. Right. Well, in arm wrestling, guys who like have clocked like, 10,000 hours on the arm wrestling table, like our elbows get really wonky. Okay. Like see, I don't know if you can tell, but
That's full lockout.
That's me like straight. Okay. Yeah. So that means I'm hard to pin. I'm hard to pin. And that is one of the things that really pisses people off, because a lot of us old arm wrestlers, it's like we have almost, it's like we're making a disability kind of work for us. And I'll tell you, it's much more complicated than that. It really is. It will work. The King's move will work against someone who doesn't really understand arm wrestling properly. If you really understand arm wrestling, it's still about strength. Like when I lose to a King's move, I will never be upset that I got beaten by a King's move. I'll just be upset that I wasn't strong enough. It will be a trump card to a lot of guys who don't know what's going on. But if you've been arm wrestling for a good amount of time, I would say that it is your responsibility to understand how to decode this movement. And really, it's like, it gets back to the whole martial arts kind of approach. There is a sequence to take to unlock the King's move. There's people who are good at all sorts of techniques. As an arm wrestler, you have to be able to adjust to these different styles. King's move is really prevalent right now because Michael is crushing people with it. I'm doing good with the King's move as well. And it frustrates people because it is unconventional. Yeah.
Is it something that you would use to count maybe compete with a bigger, stronger guy that you may not be able to handle the strength? So you're like, well, let's go to the straps. And
oh my God. That's the story of my arm wrestling career the last couple of years. Yeah, for sure. A lot of people call it the desperation move because it is one of the last lines of defense. Yeah. Like I will do whatever it takes to win that match. And if it's the King's move, well, I will not hold it back. I'll be right in there with it. Yeah. Yeah, it's good to talk to you guys anyways.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, you want to call us anytime. We're always here.
Always here to learn. Talk.
Yeah, well, maybe, one of these times, get out to Calgary and maybe we'll have a little practice at your gym or something.
Yeah, I'm really, after hanging out with, and just talking with you and watching your videos, I really think I should buy a table and get into it because, I joke, but yeah, in Japan, I won the national title and I had 2 weeks practice.
That's
But
awesome.
I was all strength. And then I snapped a dude's arm and I was like, I don't really want to do this anymore.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but yeah, you should. It's a ton of fun. And the thing is with arm wrestling is you can do it like forever. Like we've had guys who are probably our oldest guy. This is an extreme example. There was a guy who was 68 years old. Wow. And in the 80 kilo class, which is probably the hardest class to be good in because there's so many guys who are 80 kilo. He would have been considered the best in the world.
Wow.
At 68.
Fuck. Yeah, you get that old man strength. And like you said, the cauliflower elbows.
Yeah, doesn't go away. In arm wrestling, you can hold on for a really, really long time. And there's great clubs out west, like Calgary, Red Deer, Edmonton. There are so many good arm wrestlers out there. My buddy Matt is out there. Gord Squire. There's clubs all along that strip that are really good.
I mean, I was I'm still a personal trainer, but I was training this guy and he's a big dude and he wanted, he's an arm wrestler. And he said, I don't want to have any legs. Just get my upper body big.
Really? I probably know him.
And he had these huge legs. And I'm like, there's no way you're going to lose those, man. I'm going to have to cut meat off of them. And he's like, I just want all my weight up top. I'm like,
oh, that's awesome. Hey, maybe he should try the way of the giant pumpkin training.
I'm going to text him and let him know that I talked.
Just text him a jack-o'-lantern. Here's your training program.
This one? So, I mean, one thing that's probably rare about you is you were really strong in both arms. I mean, now you're just going full right tard, but now you were a champion in both left and right. Is that correct?
Yeah. That was that's probably my biggest claim to fame is, I think I was the first guy in kind of modern history to have gotten that title, both right and left at the same time. It's for sure hard. It's tricky. It's normally guys are better with one arm than they are with the other. I was always pretty close. The right hand, the competition is higher. Like it is harder to win a right hand title than it is a left hand title, just because most guys are right-handed. But it's interesting when you don't train the one, your body, this whole symmetry thing and balance thing, I don't know. Like, I feel like when I was raised and growing up and I was, people always preached balance to me. Everything in my life has taught me that it's actually not at all required. Like, I feel like I'm more injury resistant when I'm completely unbalanced, when I just do the things that I have to do. Like, I remember, when I was younger, I used to strive so hard for balance and everything. And I was always injured. Maybe I was living a tougher life too, but yeah.
Well, you might be onto something with the just right arm training for the entire body.
We'll see. I mean, this experiment hopefully is not over. Maybe talk to me again in like 2 or 3 years. And this experiment might be very, very interesting. Yeah.
So we talked about a few the arm wrestlers out there in Dubai and whatnot. And, I've been watching, just because I've been talking with you, more and more stuff on YouTube. Who's this schoolboy kid? I mean, he's killing it. Like 12-year-old boy.
Yeah, he is killing it. Schoolboy is a very interesting phenomenon. Schoolboy, when you like on YouTube, he looks like a kid, but he's actually like 6'5" and probably like 255.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah,
massive dude then.
he's a young prodigy of arm wrestling, and he is really, really good. How good is he going to be? I think he's 20 now, so I think he's going to be amazing. Yeah. Everybody wants to follow that guy and see how good he really gets, but sky's the limit for that guy. Sky's the limit.
I think I saw him for the first time on a Larry Wheels video. When
Yeah.
him and Larry were going, and he was just talking so nonchalant about
Oh yeah.
he's like, Larry's strong, but he can't.
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah.
He just just said it like it's a fact. Like, he's strong, but
Yeah. It's funny. I think you give Larry a little bit of time and he'll be right in there. I really believe that. I mean, there's people who have talent in arm wrestling, but it's very hard to be really good at it without a lot of specialized training.
Yeah.
You give Larry a couple years, and I think that conversation is different.
So who are some of your favorite up and comers? We talked about Larry, we talked about Brandon Allen, Schoolboys. Anybody else out there?
There's so many. Like, if you're looking for channels to follow, there's a lot of good arm wrestlers coming up. I mean, there's always the Swedish team. Swedish team is really good. Yeah. But yeah, you should follow Swedish arm wrestling. Some of the best arm wrestling you'll see, I promise.
Okay.
One thing me and Russ were talking about, do you have a coach? Like, how did this all start for you in that sense? Like, who told you what to do? I know you were talking, now you're at a point where it's all trial and error because you're so specific, but do you have anybody who like critiques your stuff with you? I know your wife is super involved with it, and I love seeing her at the matches talking shit in the background.
Oh yeah.
And it, like, do you guys go over your, like, I guess it would be like a match tape and go over where was I bad here, or like, do you have someone who kind of oversees that, or is it all you?
It's mostly all me. When I started arm wrestling when I was like 5 years old with my grandmother. And when I arm wrestled all through high school just with my friends. When I was like 18, I was working oil field in Red Deer, and my immediate supervisor was a professional arm wrestler. His name was Devon Larratt. He was like this 165-pound.
Arm wrestling. Darrell, he's crazy. He's like that with powerlifting. I look over. He's always looking at deadlift videos. Like, he pulls almost, 830 pounds right now off the ground. So
awesome. Oh my God. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's weird.
That is fucking forklift
and he has
stuff
grip.
going on.
He's got grip strength.
I have terrible grip strength.
Get this. So the captain's crush.
Yeah.
Darrell can pull 800, and I had him to try to do a 2, and he couldn't close it. I'm like, what the fuck? How can you do that? And how can you pick a bar up and not, like, it's so much like. And when I see you training, I see you doing different grips, widths and stuff. And that's all has to do with that, right? You're going to have a guy with a big fucking mitt. And then you're going to have some guy with a little fucking baby hand. You have to learn how to deal with that, right?
Yeah. Very specialized. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I know I speak for both of us for saying thank you for joining us today. Like, we are super stoked to have you on, telling all of our friends about it.
Hey, I love your show, guys. It's really cool. I hope you guys keep crushing it, and wish you the best. And if you guys come out to Ontario, give me a call and we'll go out to party.
Hell yeah, of course, man.
Yeah. When I get out to Calgary, we'll hopefully see you at an event or something.
For the people who don't know, how can your fans get a got of you? If they want to contact you on social media or watch any upcoming stuff?
I got a YouTube channel where I post a lot of stuff. I'm on Instagram and Facebook and all that ridiculousness. If you want to get involved in arm wrestling, check out the Arm Bet app. That's a great way to get in touch with the community and all things arm wrestling.
Cool. We'll check that out and we'll
Yeah.
drop your contacts as well. I know you got a website and you sell some cool t-shirts, dad move t-shirt and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. No Limits Arm Wrestling and armbet.net.
Sweet. All right. Thanks for your time, brother. And hope to see you soon in the near future. Bye.
Special guest, world champion arm wrestler, No Limits, Devon Larratt. Something just ain't right. There's definitely some fuckery afoot.
All right, guys. As you've noticed, there's definitely some fuckery afoot. And what we want to touch base on is all the platform censorship that's going on right now. Now, if you want to abide by all the rules and believe all the bullshit that's being fed to you, that's your business. But it seems like anybody who has a contradicting thought or thinks differently than quarantines are good for everybody, that shit gets buried quick as fuck. Because only one side of the story is being shown. It's funny how we're all told these lockdowns will help, because remember, it was supposed to flatten the curve a year ago, and that was only going to be a 14-day process. Well, weren't we all fucking idiots for believing that? Meanwhile, World Health Organization has also put out a post saying that one of the ways we can help fight COVID is staying physically fit and staying active. Oh, how do you do that? I don't know. Maybe stay in a fucking gym instead of being in your house watching Netflix and binging and eating bullshit foods.
Yeah, there's only so many band workouts you can do in your home gym. And as a trainer, my clients are dying to get back at the gym. People are losing their fucking minds mentally. They're guzzling bottles of fucking booze by the bucket. I mean, it's not good. I mean, the implications of having everything shut down are far worse than getting, the virus. I know it's terrible. It's killing a lot of people, but not being able to live our lives and be normal. And perhaps all the shit that's led up to, the first lockdown, losing jobs, not being able to go to gyms, deteriorating health, going down, down, down. How's that going to treat you when you actually get the virus? Are you going to be better off to fight it? Hell no. You're going to be worse off. It's terrible. And so if you say any of this on social media, or we might even get banned this episode on YouTube. Who knows?
Get flagged because everything you say with COVID automatically gets tracked. Why is it getting tracked? So they know if they have to remove shit, because you're going against everyone else, all the fucking sheep who think that all these lockdowns are helping everybody. It's for the greater good. Remember, Russ, even though the average person dying is 81 years old and 6 years over the average age. But yeah, we should definitely fuck everyone else in the country for it.
If I make it to 81, that's a goddamn miracle, Darrell. And you're hoping on making 50?
I just want 50.
Well, then I'd rather just lead my life, roll the dice. I used to get in the ring and get fucking my lights turned out all the time. That's a hell of a lot more dangerous. I know that's my hobby, but it wasn't a hobby. It was what I was doing. But anyways, it's all up to the person. If you're scared, stay home, live in your little fucking prison cell. If you're not, go out. If you're old, fucking stay in a bubble. Do not go out. Do not, this is how you deal with it. We just don't do the way we are doing right now. It's fucking destroying the earth. Boom. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Two Guys, One Bench, where our obese asses talk to some of the most famous athletes out there. Darrell, we're starting to hit some accolades here with who we're interviewing. It's amazing. I mean, our last interview with Devon Larratt, one of the best arm wrestlers that's ever done it. I mean, it's just amazing that we can touch out and pick the minds of these people. What do you think, Darrell?
It's definitely a reoccurring theme in all these interviews. When you talk to these the elite level athletes, the perseverance, and you got to have a little touch of crazy to get to the level they're at, because you have to be super OCD about your training and take everything seriously. Even if you're anything as small as form work, sleeping, everything.
Yeah, I love his little theory of growing the pumpkin. I mean, he's just trying to grow his one pumpkin, but Darrell and I are trying to grow the whole body pumpkin. Whatever you can do to try to be, some sort of athlete or a better version of yourself every day is amazing. And picking people's minds like Devon's and Adam Braidwood and all these other crazy athletes we've had on, there's one, underlying theme. There is no shortcut. There are no shortcuts. It's all fucking hard work. And speaking of hard work, we put a lot of hard work into getting these t-shirts out to you. Darrell and I aren't afraid to wear pink. I think it actually looks cooler than the green. And to tell you the truth, the green screen would make us see like we've got bull holes in our shirts. So, but we wanted to say, go and pick up some of our gear. We got some cool t-shirts. We got the Fuckery afoot. We got the PG version in case you're a pussy. And we got the two guys, one bench in green and pink, and both ladies and men's. So be careful when you're checking out there. The unisex and then the fitted is for the females. Okay. One of my guys ordered the fitted, which is a female shirt, and he's looking pretty sexy. So don't forget to eat big,
Train hard.
and always be fight ready.
2 guys, 1 bench. Shit talking. Strength sports. Combat sports. Over. Resolute. Prepare yourself for battle. Choices and consequences. Misfit. Bridge City brand. The Gilded Beard. Sculptech. SMP industry leader. Powerlifting motivation.
Lifting.
With Jana. Her lifting inside edition. Generation strength coach. Discover your power.